You are listening to the Small Town Big Talk Show, the weekly podcast for small town people with big dreams and ideas. I'm your host, Rebecca Undum, and each week we'll cover a topic meant to inspire, encourage, and empower you to live big in your small town. Although it has its challenges, nothing beats small town living, and we're committed to sharing the best of what's working in the communities we serve. So enjoy this episode, and we hope it helps you to bloom where you've been planted. My guest on today's episode is Marissa Hoffmann. She is one half of the dynamic sister duo that created the brand, The Midwest Girl. She joins me on the show today to talk about that entire journey from beginning in a mobile trailer where they went to their customer to starting a website and now to a full-blown brick and mortar store. She has some beautiful tips to share with anybody that has an interest in starting and scaling their own business. And so grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of something good, and sit back and enjoy this chat with Marissa Hoffmann. Welcome, Marissa, to the Small Town Big Talk Show. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. Yes. Don't mind me if I'm a little nervous, but I'm thrilled. And honestly, I needed this during this current journey or this current reality that we're all in. I really was looking forward to this on this Friday afternoon. So thank you for having me.
You bet. Me too. And I think our episodes don't always publish in real time, but we're recording this right in the midst of the COVID-19 outbreak where everybody's quarantined and businesses are definitely feeling the effects of that. We've been talking about that a bit. And I don't want us to focus exclusively on that, but of course it may come up.
Sure.
But I was too. I was looking forward to it as well. And I think we live in a really cool time where no matter where we are, we still have this ability. And I'm so grateful for it because I am such a people person, right? It's really hard to be so isolated from people physically.
Well, I think, we act like, or we may say like, oh, I love my alone time, in which we do. But then, this happens and you realize, wow, I love people. I love seeing people and there's certain things. I hope we never take for granted that handshake or that embrace again. It's just the little things.
I have been just dreaming and thinking about what that first experience where we're in a crowd of more than 10 people and we're gathered for a specific purpose. And I imagine like I could cry just thinking about what that's going to feel like. So it is a strange time that we're living in, but I'm so grateful that we still get a chance to connect and share the good work that people like you are doing. So I would love if you would share with our audience just kind of the start of your journey, where this brand came from. I will tell you that when I wear my Midwesty t-shirt, like people always comment on it. They always ask, of course, where I got it. And I happen to buy it directly from your website. But how did the Midwest Girl come to be? What was its genesis? And just tell us all the things.
It's such a, it's just evolved so much. But so my sister and I, Mara, my older sister, we actually own it together. And we started it nearly 5 years ago to the date. And when we initially started it, it started actually as a mobile boutique. So we bought, had our dad's help because neither of us had bought a construction type trailer before. We both are retail girls through and through. So we went and bought a 6x12 travel trailer. And we got this idea. We were just, we wanted to do a business together. We weren't sure what that was going to look like. My sister owns a bridal shop as well. And we thought, do we open another bridal shop? We know bridal, we have the skill set there, but, the bridal industry or opening a bridal shop is really expensive. Lots of inventory, lots of overhead, and a whole nother set of retail hours. And at that point, I didn't have money to invest. Neither one of us wanted to get a huge loan. So we just kind of started doing our research, and we were seeing that these mobile boutiques are becoming really popular on the coast. And we're like, well, I guess, we could try that route and see. So we just kind of dove in. We got a small line of credit to help us with expenses. And we bought this trailer and we had it wrapped. So it looked like it was really cute. I truly, to this day, still can't really pinpoint where the Midwest Girl came from. I think what our idea in our head was Midwest Bride. Maybe we'll start a bridal shop that's Midwest Bride, and then it just evolved into Midwest Girl. And we did our research. There was nothing else out there that was trademarked with the Midwest Girl. we're like, okay, let's take it. And I guess that's kind of where it came from. So this little trailer was adorable. We made it look like kind of like a little cabin on the inside. It had wood floor and it had little gingham curtains, and it was just big enough to have just a few select styles plus a fitting room. And we would take this little trailer just pretty much in our area from Mount Horeb, Wisconsin to Dubuque, Iowa, pop up at wineries, at our local tavern where I used to work in college for their big 4th of July celebration. Anything small town that you can think of, we would go in people's driveways, because why wouldn't you do that? That's what we did for our first year. And I guess it was just, we didn't really know what we were doing, but it was just our way of, I guess, market research. We didn't call it that because we're Midwest girls. And it was just fun how we really saw these t-shirts really kind of people just really loving them. You know, they just, I guess from the start, we really started the who is a Midwest girl. And that's always been really important to us to get that point across. You know, we never use social media as selling. We always used it as sharing our story. And we were hopeful that collectively there'd be enough Midwest girls out there that could relate to that.
Yeah.
So at first year was super fun, or I guess it was the first 6 months during the nice months of weather in the Midwest. But, you know, the trailer was great, but it was so much work. I didn't have a vehicle that could pull it, so I was always trying to borrow somebody's vehicle, pull this trailer. Inventory was a nightmare. And then what do we do in the winter? You know, that was the hard part. Like, how do we sell in the winter? We had a small website, but, you know, websites, they're hard when you're just starting off because no one knows about you. So then that's when we made the decision to open up a brick and mortar here in Dubuque. And that really has made a huge difference in our business and brand. We found a location that is next to the biggest tourist attraction in Dubuque. So the tourist attraction, the Fenland Place elevator, is the number one thing to see in Dubuque. And luckily there was a storefront that was just steps away from that. Cool. So for the first, and it's adorable. So there's nothing at the top of the elevator besides just this amazing view of the city of Dubuque. People ride up it, ride back down, and then we have a little ice cream shop and we're in a really cool historic, it's called the Cable Car Square district that has, all the buildings in Dubuque are awesome, but we're in a very high retail district. So for the first 3 years, that was our advertising. We didn't have an advertising budget, you know, that didn't exist. And so just having, I guess, the right location and just staying consistent on social media is what really helped.
Okay, yeah. So for anybody, I love hearing the origin story of any small business because it's always so fascinating, right? Like, yeah. And I love the idea of a pop-up trailer. I think what a great way, and an overall fairly low risk way to kind of test out and you know, see if your theory for this brand was going to hold. But my question is, once you got your brick and mortar, was about the percentage of sales, like the distribution between your website still and then your storefront?
The storefront, like exponentially more than the website. It's the website, you know, websites take a long time. And I think it's just because you need to gain brand awareness.
Right.
So it's just showing up, you know, consistently on social media in order to, and it would, every year it's gotten better. It's gotten higher for our online sales, but for sure the brick and mortar, because too, you know, we really sell the experience. So when you walk into, you know, our little store here, it has the gingham wallpaper and we have our dad's buck hanging on the wall. And it's very, we describe it as cabin inspired. So when you walk in, you know, you might see decor that you saw at your family's cabin as a kid. And you'll see pictures of our family and it'll just remind you of your family, you know, just different ways that will trigger nostalgia. And, you know, we just hope that the experience of our brand and our stories are enough to make you want to buy a t-shirt and be a part of it too.
Right. So you had said earlier that so much of your business isn't just about the t-shirts, right? But it's really about defining and kind of, it's like it's a brand identity, right? Like it's me putting on a t-shirt isn't just saying like I said, everybody seriously comments on the t-shirt because it's so darn cute. But
thank you.
It's meant to embody something, right? So how do you guys describe or define the character, the nature of a Midwest girl?
Yeah. For some reason, it always gets me tongue tied. Like I should be able to like just quickly shoot my elevator pitch. But before that, and I think it's just following the right kind of people on social media that inspire you and and teach you, because in this day and age, I went to college for sales and marketing, but social media, it's evolving so much. It changes by the minute.
Right.
And I've learned as I have gone, but from day one, we've never just sold on social media. It's just been sharing the stories and continually to share stories. And, every year it continues to grow a little bit more and more. And that's the whole point about a brand. From the beginning, we didn't want to just become a business. We wanted to become a brand. And with that, you have to gain people's trust and give them a reason to come back and, create that emotional connection. And so with social media, it was always important to me to keep it social. And with that, it's exhausting sometimes, but I love it. I love connecting with our Midwest girls. And so if there's ever a comment that's not replied back to, and because truly I'm so grateful that people choose our brand over someone else's,
Right.
That means so much. And I want people to feel how grateful we are for their business, because every sale, every comment, every positive review has a huge impact in small business. And so I just never wanted that to be forgotten. And that's just been a really strong part of our business strategy, is to just remain super social on social media. Once in a while, you have to sell, but just having that open communication with your customers and making it fun. You want to follow fun people on social media, and you want to know their story and know their family. And so that's just what we've really tried hard to do in so many different aspects. But a Midwest girl, like there's so many different kinds of Midwest girls, right? But I should just read our.
Go right ahead. Yeah, go right ahead.
The Midwest girl is a homage to our small town Wisconsin roots. Our folks taught us to never forget where we come from and to always celebrate family tradition. Our goods are inspired by memories of growing up and living in the heartland and are a genuine reflection of Midwest values. We are a brand that celebrates you, an authentic Midwest girl. May you always remember your roots.
Yeah, I love it. Love, love, love it. The thing I love so much about what you just shared is that, seriously, you can buy a t-shirt anywhere. And especially when it comes to on Instagram, I'm constantly served up advertisements for other graphic t-shirt companies. But that's what's so important. You guys aren't just selling t-shirts. You're creating a place for people to belong.
Yes.
And that takes time and it takes effort. And I think to your original point, it does take longer sometimes to gain traction around your stuff. But once people find you and feel connected to that, then they're like lifelong fans. Have you found that to be true?
You're so right. I definitely give my sister so much appreciation for this. So we're 12 years apart, which is, people love hearing that because they just think it's kind of crazy, which it is. So when she was a senior in high school, I was a kindergartner, and we shared a bedroom in Little Hazel Green, and our bedroom was Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse. I have to share that story because it's so funny. She's the one that kind of gave us a push because I was so scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't, we're going to be in debt. Just that thought of having debt for a business that you don't have any idea if it's going to work is really scary. But she's always just been the pusher. And so after our first season of being in the mobile boutique, she's like, I really think we should invest and get this trademarked. I'm like, hey, I don't even know what that means, but okay. So that was her big role. She figured out how, we found a trademark lawyer, and that was a huge turning point for us. It's not like sales immediately happened after that, but it just gave us the starting point of really being able to build something and building it the right way. And with that has come, it's been really hard because just because we have the Midwest Girl and Midwest Girl printed on things doesn't mean other people don't try doing it.
Oh, totally. Right.
So it's been hard it really, if you're talking about defeating things, that nothing defeats me more or takes the wind out of my sails when it's sent something like that. And what's amazing though, when you go back to, do you feel like you have fans for life? And we absolutely do. We have the most amazing, and I know every business says this, but I really believe it. We have the most amazing customers, and so many have become friends through the business, and they just have our back. I think because people are like, they've invested in us. And so they understand how hard, we've worked to get the brand to where it is. And so if they see somebody copycatting or doing like that, they want us to know about it. And so truly most of the time when I don't go out searching for it because there's only so much time in the day. My customers are who sends me these t-shirts that people are printing that, that they're infringing on our copyright.
Right.
So that has been really amazing. Like, wow, you care enough about our business that you are sending me that. Like, that means so much. And it's that we've gotten to that point.
They consider themselves ambassadors of your brand, which is amazing, right? Right. Right.
That's what's amazing is that in any small business, like to me from the beginning, customer service was non-negotiable. Like you can have no money, be negative money like we were, but your customer service should always be high end. And that's, I think, what we've always done. And, we always respond timely and I try, and no matter what kind of day I'm having, being grateful for any person that decides to walk in my store and, purchase something. And so from the beginning, that has always been our number one. And I think it, has really propelled us and been able to help us grow. And I think any small business, they will tell you the same thing. You have to have amazing customer service. You have to treat your customers well, or else you're not going to get anywhere.
Right. I have two questions that have come up in my head. One just related to the kind of the copyright infringement and the copycat people. Have you had to actually take anybody to court?
No, thankfully.
Good. That's good.
And I think that comes with, for one, once again, we're a small business. Lawyer fees are crazy expensive, which they should be because it's hard work and they go to school for a long time. So I get it, but it is really hard to invest that money when you're like, okay, that could be my paycheck this week.
Right.
So thankfully, we never had to go that route. And I've had situations where people totally understand and they're like, I am so sorry. I really didn't know. And then I've had other sad situations where I feel like I've been belittled and, they try to downplay what we have and what we've built and make it seem like that it's not a big deal, like that I'm printing the same thing as, your brand, even though that we have a trademark. And so it's hard sometimes when people don't get it because I just feel like they're never going to get it. And it's like, how much energy can I waste on it? It'd be different if we're this big corporation and had a team, had a lawyer on staff that could deal with all of that, but that's not the reality. Yeah. So I think you have to pick and choose your fights and you hope that, and you just have to have faith that it will all work itself out.
Right.
And people are respectful for the most part and we'll take it down. But yeah, it's hard. It's just, it honestly, like it happened a few weeks ago and I instantly get a pit in my stomach. Because I don't know, I don't like confrontation. So it's just that uncomfortable conversation that I have to call up another business owner and hope that they understand. And sometimes they don't. And that just it puts you in a really hard place. And it's just disappointing when some people can't, we're all trying to do the best we can and we all have ideas, right? It's important, especially, now just to, be cheerleaders of other women business owners. We all need that, but at the same time, you have to do it your own way too. It's okay to, be inspired and to get ideas and do that. But there's a fine line.
It can be hard to navigate, I think, sometimes. Like we live in a world where everything is so accessible. So it's really easy to get inspiration, to pull inspiration from other people. But I think, most of the time you can, as the person that your trademark gets infringed upon, I think you can tell the difference between something that's inspiration and something that's just stealing your stuff. And I think intention has a lot to do with it too. I really do. At least for me, when I feel like, when I see that or feel like that might be happening, the ones that are sorry are the ones that never intended to hurt you.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm glad that you haven't had to go to court over it because that's not any fun.
And I hope we never have to, and yes, we are a much smaller scale brand than let's say North Face, but would you ever think twice about printing a shirt that says North Face or the North Face?
Right.
No, you would never do that.
Yep.
So it's like, it's just, I think people they take advantage sometimes of a small brand and don't give the respect, they don't give the respect to a small brand that they deserve. Every brand deserves respect,
Totally
whether,
agree.
whether they're bringing in, $1 million profits or $1,000 profits, it shouldn't matter.
Right.
Everybody thinks the same way.
Well, that's why you have your brand ambassadors that come to your defense. So the other question I had was about your sister. Did she have a formal schooling or background?
Mara has always had a design background. So she's the sister that knows how to sew and has amazing penmanship, and like she just she went to school she's actually started in fashion design, but she's a homebody just like myself. And so the thought of, when you're a fashion student, you're expected to, for a semester, travel. You're either in New York or you're abroad. And she just didn't see herself being able to do that. She is the oldest of 4 kids, and just wasn't for her. So then she switched majors to interior design, and she graduated from UW-Madison.
Cool.
And she worked in the architecture industry for many, many years before the bridal shop kind of fell into her lap while she was shopping for her own bridal gown. She wasn't happy in the corporate environment anymore. It's a really funny story. She bought her bridal shop pretty much the same day she bought her bridal gown from the same woman.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So I always love it. I love it when sisters are in business, or when siblings are in business, or husbands and wives even. I just think, that duo it's close. So it has, at least from the outside looking in on these kinds of relationships that are in business together, there's a soul and a connection that's very different, right, than just two non-related business people. But then also that can be a really good thing or a really difficult thing. How has being sisters both maybe served and held you back at times, if any? And maybe it's been all good for you, which would be such a beautiful thing to hear. But what has been the impact on your brand being sisters in business together?
Mara and I are so similar, like in so many ways, but we definitely have 2 completely different skill sets as well, which I think has been very beneficial for our business. And I think what helps us is that we have this age gap. There's 12 years between us. So Mara, I have always looked up to her. I don't want to say like a second mom, but with 12 years difference, I mean, I was in elementary school while she was in college, so it's like, she kind of falls into that role, because I was a little girl, and I loved my big sister so much. And she, she just had that nurturing instinct. So it still is that way, even though, I'm a mom now, I'm 30, and, we're in similar journeys in our life. I still look up to her in that way that I did when I was in kindergarten, which is just really sweet and really special, and true.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think because of that has just created this really good working atmosphere for us. We really don't fight. And I guess knock on wood, it could happen. But I think it's because we are different skill set that we've been able to separate in that way and not bump heads too much.
Right.
But she also has had another focus of her bridal shop. So this is not her only business.
Right.
And with the Midwest Girl, it's not like this was making any money. I mean, I can finally make money or pay myself, which is really awesome. But those first few years, I was still pretty much working for her full time at her bridal shop. And this was just like, what can we get done on the weekends? It was an absolute side gig.
What were your hours then?
Our hours then, we were open, I want to say 4 days a week. Okay. And we did hire a cousin that would help us. And gosh, it's funny how you think back and how did we even make it work?
Well, I ask those questions because it's seriously relevant for people. Because I think there's this, I don't know, there's a romanticized idea that starting a boutique is this glorious and I don't know, no bumps in the road kind of thing. And you just get to play in your shop all day and it's so much fun. Yeah. But really, I think a lot more stories go somewhat along the lines of what you're sharing, which is, you eased into it over time. You kept full-time jobs, and you happen to have another, your sister, it's a business that she's running, but still, even if it were just another job working for somebody else, there was something stable supporting you financially while you were building this up. And I think that's not sexy. There's nothing sexy about it, right? Like what starting a business really is. But I think I don't always know that we tell enough of the stories of just what the phase in of the whole thing really looks like.
And you're working weekends, it's like I've worked Saturdays since, high school, and it's just what I know now. And so, no, it's definitely, there's nothing, I mean, that's the thing, like t-shirt brands, t-shirts are sexy. So it's like, who doesn't love a t-shirt? Right. But too, it's like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to and I think you just learn as you go. And we've kind of had that, we've talked about that a few times, but like, you just learn from other podcasts, and you figure out like, okay, what can I do? How can I make more money? Like and at the same time, obviously I love my business. I love serving Midwest girls and, love providing that. But at the same time, we want to make money too. It's like, we want to be able to, we have goals of having a bigger house, and, I want to hire a full-time employee. Like, you have those different goals. And so you have to figure out, okay, what does that look like? How many t-shirts do we have to sell? Or, so like having that mindset too is really important as a small business owner, is like being able to pivot and adapt and being able to make the proper changes for the time we're in. And I think, I'm 30. I'm a different kind of Midwest girl than my 22-year-old employees that work for me. So you have to, and that's the thing, and that's what's so important about social media, is you have to recognize that, and you have to be able to change your business. As comfortable as it is, you have to be willing to invest and change your business, and you can't stay stagnant because your customer is always changing. Right. And so I think that's been really, I guess we've kind of learned that early on, is that you have to keep things fresh, and you have to continue to offer new things. Just be willing to take a little bit of that jump and risk, and hopefully it's worth it.
Well, and I think what you're talking about is really, really timely, and in light of what we're dealing with right now. That like you said this before we hit record, that we don't actually know what normal is going to look like when all of this is over. Like our normal might be forever changed. And so, and those are very scary words to say out loud, because we're just literally, it's like leaning out into the discomfort of that unknown. And it's really uncomfortable. I mean, nobody likes the way that feels at all. Like it's not normal for us. But for businesses, for small businesses in particular, you just were talking about like, knowing what your core business is, but then thinking differently about what could we add, or what could complementary product or idea to what we're already doing look like, and being able to be flexible and pivot and adapt is really important, especially given what we're dealing with right now. I mean, this is one of those unprecedented things, but I think what I really hope for all of our small businesses, like in my community, in the region that we serve through our work, I just hope that they see this as an opportunity to flex that muscle of learning how to adapt, right? And be flexible, because if it's not this ever again, which, God willing, it's never this thing again, but there might be something else that takes your business offline for a period of time. And what do you do? Right. How do you keep your lights on? How do you keep your people paid? So I think it's really cool that you already have that mindset.
And I think you'll see after this, Rebecca, I think, I was talking to my uncle at his restaurant, and I think everybody's going to have, and that's kind of what everybody's taking this time right now to reflect, like, what is my business going to look like after this? Am I going to downsize? Am I going to build my e-commerce? Am I going to become more of a niche in some way? For us, for Mara and I, since we trademarked it, we've always had this idea in our head that we just wanted to scale in a slowly but surely way, but we wanted to be able to have a business that could do that. We wanted to wholesale. We wanted to, we've had different ideas in our heads. We at first thought we were going to start like a mini franchise of trailers and have little Midwest girl trailers all over the Midwest. Any entrepreneur has these mini light bulb moments several times of your day, like, oh, this is the next big idea, or this is the next big idea. And that's okay, but the one thing that we've always had in our head is that we wanted to be able to create a brand that we could scale. And we are slowly doing that. So now we do wholesale, and during this time, I'm really grateful for e-commerce, for our website, but my heart goes out to, the retailers that have invested in us that rely on their brick and mortar stores.
Right.
And so I'm seeing all of them, figuring out, okay, now's the time that I need to get my website, or figuring out what they can do in order to bring a little bit of cash flow in. And so something that we have offered during this time to our retailers, since starting wholesale, we decided that we strictly, when we do wholesale, the stores can only sell in their brick and mortar. We wanted to keep our website exclusive to us. But, we want the businesses that, have believed in our story and what we are doing enough to invest in us. So we're doing that for them, and we're allowing them to sell our products on their website. And hopefully, it'll generate some revenue for them. And a lot of our stores have been really grateful for that. And it's just a hard time, and you have to and that's the same thing, we talk about, you have to be able to adapt and pivot and figure out ways to make it work. And I think that's always been my sister and I's mindset. It's like, we'll figure it out, we'll make it work, and that, I guess that's just like, we have that so deep in our souls that, we will do whatever it takes to make it work.
It sounds like you err on the side of generosity too, which is just a beautiful way to move through the world anyway. But, the idea that you had kind of a policy, or, not policy is a strong word, but kind of a general business, business practice of like, this is our website, this is what we're going to do. Yep. And then recognizing, I think that's part of an adaptable, flexible mindset, right? Is saying, okay, but does this serve the people? Like, the idea of having retailers, making sure that they're taken care of is really important to your business, not just right now, but once this is over, it's the future of your business as well. So I think thinking about what's the generous move, right? How do we take care of people? And I think that's so important at times like we're in right now, but I think it's a good mindset to adopt generally. And I hope that the collective empathy I feel like I've seen from our communities and our local businesses, and how people are rallying to do whatever they can to help each other. I hope that we remember this collective empathy and carry this forward. That's something that I would love for that to be part of our new normal.
That's the thing. I wish I could help every small business,
Right.
So we're just trying to do our part as much as we can. For right now, that's looking like, offering that support to our retailers. And, what's been so beautiful about the growth of the Midwest Girl is that we've done it slowly. We've done it on our time. And we've done it in a way that we're able to have great connections with our stores. And so many of them have become friends. And, I know their families and I know their situations. And so it's of course, it's about business, but, there comes a time too where you have to put, like you said, you have to be able to change your business strategies in a way to show empathy, because that's what small business is all about. Small business is about community and just about supporting one another. And, what would this world be without small business? So I guess that's our way of just trying to help as many as we can, and, so that we're all able to come out of this and be able to still do what we love and to serve the communities that we're all in.
Absolutely. So I like to always ask every guest that comes on the show this kind of final question. Otherwise, we just have this nice conversation, which is so lovely. And really, I love the spirit of your brand. I love the fact that you're sisters, and I really appreciate you taking time to share your entire story with our audience, because I know there's a lot of people that want a boutique like you have. I mean, there are people that, or they have an idea for starting one, but then all of the fear of having that business overwhelms them and they don't do it. So sharing every little phase on your growth journey has been really a beautiful thing to hear. So thank you so much for sharing all of that with us.
And it's funny that you say that, because last night I did a post, and so whenever this airs, they'll have to go back and see it. But, I just was like, I was feeling, this whole situation it makes you just think so differently. And I think everyone's going to come out of this just thinking differently and acting differently, hopefully in a positive way. But, I just was, on Facebook and looking at all of the small businesses that I love. And I wanted to just send a message out there to anybody that it wants a small business to just not feel like, I'm sure so many people are like, okay, there's no way I will ever do a small business after seeing this. And it's like, I just hope, I hope that discouragement fizzles, because
me too.
everybody has an idea, but not everybody brings it to fruition. And so I just think the biggest thing to remember is that, every person can create a community around them, and it takes work, it takes time, it takes consistency, it takes resourcefulness, but everybody can do that. And going into small business, and this was like the whole point of my post, but no person starts a small business because they're going to make a lot of money. Some businesses end up being that way, and I think everybody would be like, oh, that's great, I would love to make a lot of money, but no one starts a small business to make the big bucks.
Right.
They start a small business because they see this need for it in their community, and they can envision it. They can envision people walking into whatever kind of business they have and seeing the joy and the excitement, and it's their way of sharing their passion for whatever, whether it be a restaurant, a bar, a coffee shop, a boutique, or any kind of service industry. It's their way of being able to share that passion with the world, and just the hope that enough people will take a chance on them and invest in their idea.
Right.
And so I just hope this whole pandemic doesn't take away that excitement from small business or people starting it, because there is space. There's always going to be space for more small businesses, and they truly are the heartbeat of every community. And so I just really hope that if anyone's listening to this and feeling discouraged about the current situation, like, hang in there. Like, it's
totally,
we're going to get through it, and the world needs you, and the world needs your idea. And
absolutely. Well, and I feel like you're answering the question, because the question I was going to ask is, what does living big in a small town look like to you? And maybe that's your answer, but that's what and you really said it just so beautifully, that there's still space. There is space for you, and there's space for your idea. And it might feel, like you said, it's understandable that anybody that had an idea and maybe was thinking about launching, now they're like the brakes are maybe on a bit. It's like, I don't mind if people, it's like, fine, keep the brake on for a minute, but just don't actually put it all the way in park and shut off the car, right? Like,
exactly.
Keep your engine running. And,
or thinking of a way that, thinking of a passive way to do it, what's a way that, how would this business idea that I have, how could I still make money right now without being open? Just maybe, keeping that idea, but maybe this is just kind of an eye opener, if anything, to think about, okay, well, what if this happens again? How will my business survive? It's something that nobody would have planned for. And I think, we talked about it even 2 weeks ago, but it was something that nobody understood or nobody really believed until it hit our community.
Right.
But I absolutely love that, what does living big in a small city or small town?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's funny, Dubuque, they really kind of a big pull in Dubuque, because Dubuque's about 80,000 people, but it feels so small. And, I'm not from here, so I'm not entirely sure why it does. I guess 80,000 is a small city.
But it's still a city. I mean, you're right. I mean, I get that, but
it is still a city, but, we're from a town of 1,200 people.
Right, right. And if it feels small to you, there is intentional action on the part of the people that are involved with growing that community. They're working at it to keep it feeling small and tight knit, because that's an intention that you have to do that if you want it to feel like that, I think, anyway.
Yes. And I think, I love this question so much for our brand, because Mara and I grew up in a little town called Hazel Green, Wisconsin. Have to give our town a shout out, of 1,200 people.
Yep.
Yeah. And so small town. We come from a family of small businesses. But, if we always treated ourselves as small, then, we wouldn't be where we are. If I allowed the people that belittled our idea, when, I had to confront people about copycats, where would Midwestern be right now? For small businesses, that are in small cities or small towns like us, you can never dream big enough. And I think just that's such an important thing to remember, and to know, like, you have to be your number one, as cliche as it is, you have to be your number one cheerleader. You have to be your number one customer, in a sense, because if you're not, then, no one else is going to invest in it unless you invest in yourself.
That is so true. I say that, well, I try to remind people of that no one's ever going to love your business as much as you do. No one's
No.
ever going to care about your business as much as you do. So by in the same token, not allowing yourself to be defined by potentially the small-mindedness around you. There might be people that have a smaller mindset. You might have people around you that don't dream big like you, and that's okay for them. But just to kind of guard yourself against that so that you don't keep your life small to fit in with the people around you.
Absolutely. And I think too, just knowing, like, being able to define, like, what is making it big, or what does that look like for you? And Mara and I recently this week were having a discussion about finances and what that looks like, and, you know, how just with the recent, you know, the pandemic, how that could impact us. And I think over the last year, I've really realized, like, you have to know how much money no sum of money, and I think you can read this anywhere, no sum of money is going to make you exponentially happier.
Right.
So I think you need to know, like, what is your happiness? And so what does that look like for you? Is it, you know, a bigger house, or is it, like, what is it? Because I'm guessing a financial goal isn't a certain monetary amount isn't going to make you happy. So, like, for me this last year, I've really realized, you know, we have, I would say probably out of all of our family, our home is the smallest. We have a tiny little bathroom that we share amongst the three of us. And truly, it's okay, because I'm so grateful for a supportive husband that allows me to do what I want to do without any questions asked. And we have our sweet little rainbow baby that we just, that's our whole world now, you know. And we're fine with driving, you know, older vehicles, because we have, like, I have this sense of freedom with owning my own business. And I know, like, we can just continue to grow and continue to scale. And, like, that is just so exciting for me. But I have everything I need. You know, I have a business I love. I have an amazing family and support system. And so I think with that, that's going to help us scale even more, that I'm happy and content where we currently are. Obviously, I want to continue to grow, but I'm okay where we are right now too. And I think having that mindset has definitely created this beautiful shift in our business.
Well, you are such a shining example of what purposeful and intentional growth of a small business can look like. And I seriously just want to thank you for your time in the midst of this scary, uncertain, challenging time as, you know, for small businesses. I appreciate you taking the time to visit with us and sharing your story with the audience.
Yeah, this was great. It was much needed. And I just love being able to follow, like yourself. I see that you have so many positive, empowering women on your podcast. And I just think it's so needed. So bravo to you to just continue to share, you know, so many beautiful, inspiring women, because that's doing so much good.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks again for being on the Small Town Big Talk
Show. Thanks for having me. Hopefully we'll be back again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Small Town Big Talk Show. If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to subscribe on Stitcher, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, and we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review. The more reviews we get, the easier it will be for other small town friends to find us. We encourage you to keep on living big in your small town, because the size of your life is not determined by your zip code.